So lately, I have been teasing a lot of big news coming soon, and it is finally here. For those that didn't see the news, the Esports Observer put out an article yesterday stating that Psyonix sent a letter to the RLCS teams outlining significant changes to the structure of its premier esports league, also known as the RLCS. A video about that letter can be found in a link at the top right of your screen. I'm going to cover the article, break down the new format with a graphic, and try to provide some of my own thoughts about the situation. Also, because it was leaked early, I would expect an official announcement from Psyonix later today or sometime this weekend. Either way, it'll be in the near future. So, teams were expecting a response to their vetted frustrations about monetization options, ownership conditions, and communication issues, but were instead introduced to a quote-unquote all-new circuit format that overhauls the previous two league plays a year format. We also got some insight as to why Cloud9 left. Their founder and CEO stated, "I love Rocket League and wanted to continue, but the cost of running the team far outstripped the support from the developer." He also then states, "I hope to return if those conditions change." As for the format, it was revealed to be an open circuit format, and here's a graphic that may illustrate what they plan, because from the article, it's actually pretty difficult to understand. There's going to be 3 splits, and in each split, there are 3 regional events, making 6 regional events total per split. 3 for North America and 3 for Europe. Regional events will award points that determine who then qualify for an international major per split. The results of the international majors will then feed into a single world championship per calendar year instead of the 2 we have currently. That makes for 22 events throughout the year. That is insane. It also makes the World Championship mean a whole lot more. I highly recommend, if you're having a difficult time understanding this format, please stop by my stream where I stream almost daily, twitch.tv/Lawler, and I will be more than willing to answer any questions you have about it. This new format does not guarantee teams that have qualified into the RLCS or RLRS previously being able to compete in every single split. They've got to earn it now. Teams that originally qualified for RLCS Season 10 that assumed that another league play would be coming will have their spots reserved in the first 6 regional events for both splits 1 and 2, as long as they abide by the current 2/3 rule roster. If you guys don't know what that means, in the RLCS league play, to be considered a starter, you must play at least 50% of the matches in league play. With there being 10 teams, 9 matches that you play, you had to play at least 5 of those to be considered a starter on the roster. Otherwise, you would forfeit your spot if you don't keep 2 out of 3 of your starting players that competed in league play. Teams still have to perform within those splits to earn their way into an international major, which are essentially our current RLCS lands. Any of you who have watched CSGO, you should all know about these things, and like the miraculous Cloud9 hero run at the Boston Major. These things are insane. They're legitimately no different than our current RLCS land that we get now. The difference is we'd get 3 a year, and they don't mean as much as another international world championship at the end of the year. It's actually insane. If any of you guys watch Dota, Counter-Strike, any of those, you should realize how big of a deal this is. And not only do we have all those events, we also, alongside that, have a weekly league from the beginning and the end of each individual split. Current qualified RLCS and RLRS teams have reserved spots for the first split only. Teams have to then earn points throughout the weekly league that count towards qualifying for the next split, as well as a spot at the international majors. Essentially, if you have the most points throughout the weeklies, you earn a wildcard spot into the international major for that current split, which is a really cool element that I love to see. It's obviously a lot to unpack with all the information, so again, if you guys have any questions, make sure you drop those down below. I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, like I said earlier in the video, make sure to stop by the stream. I'll do my best. Probably better that way too, because there's going to be a lot of other people probably with the same questions, and you may hear me just answer it, or it may spark some conversation that'll lead to good discussion. There's a lot of angles on this and a lot of approaches that you can take, but I think the number one for me is that I know Psyonix probably really had a cool announcement plan for this, or had something that they were going to be doing, but because the organizations most likely leaked this, because they're the only ones that got the email from Psyonix, they weren't able to do that. So I kind of feel for Psyonix on this one, but again, the information's out there. I think the community overall is pretty happy about it. Based upon Reddit and the shift announcement that came out on Twitter, it seems like people are mostly just confused about what the format actually means, and hopefully that graphic helps, but yeah, it's a lot to take in. I'll try to leave some of the links to the article as well as the graphic. I'll post it somewhere so you guys can look at it, but Again, I know it's a lot. I recommend just going back and pausing, taking a screenshot yourself if you need to. In the past, I mean, I think 2019 was the best year for Rocket League, where we had Beyond the Summit, WSOE, multiple Dream Hacks, 4 being total, 2 RLCS Worlds. So a lot of events actually overall. And then 2020 kind of shifted into a negative pattern due to obviously the pandemic and everything else going on, as well as the Intel World Open that was supposed to happen too before COVID happened, where that would have basically put a hold on a majority of the events going on. So I know a lot of people are kind of upset about that, but if you're talking, you have to have 6 per split with 3 a region, and then you have a weekly going on, and then you also have, you're talking an international major, which is essentially LAN. You have then a new world championship where the title means so much more. As much as I love seeing everybody in the community twice a year at LAN, having one world championship just makes that title so much more meaningful. And I think it's kind of a cool way, and one of the only benefits to the current pandemic situation is that NRG's World Championship title, when this is all done, is going to mean so much. If they show up as the defending world champs, like, that's crazy to see how this is going to play out. So I don't know. There's a lot of mixed emotions on it. I'm trying to keep my eyes off of it. I think the only thing that I really want to know is how things are going to be weighted. Obviously, they talk about it being a point system and how things are going to add up and the differences in how things are weighted. I want to know how the weekly system is going to be weighted and how much of that, if it's just like, if you're first in the weekly, do you just get an auto bid in as that wild card, or does it have a point multiplier, or how does that work? Are you talking that each of the regional events, because there's 3 of them, how heavily are those weighted? Are you taking the weight of a split to a split? Is the first split worth less than the third split because of different things? And we've actually had a brief stint of this. If you guys remember way back, and I know there's a lot of new viewers, which I appreciate you guys being. You guys have been popping off on the channel lately, so massive shout out to you guys. But back in Season 1 actually had a split system for the RLCS. There was Part 1 of RLCS Season 1 and Part 2 of RLCS Season 1, where you ended up earning points, and those points then came together that gave you a chance at the World Championship. So we've seen in Rocket League at its very, very early stages, like literally right at the beginning, partially this format happening, but now it's blown to a totally different scale. A lot more organizations are in, which means that they can help fund. And that's part of the other aspect, is this is going to require the orgs to invest even more, which is kind of a weird scenario because they're already frustrated with the lack of monetization options, ownership conditions, the fact that the players own the spots. And when they're throwing this much money in for salary, yes, there is a chance for a ton of exposure with all these events, but at the same time, like, they are caring for the primary well-being of the players and the talent. So it's an interesting one. I think there's a lot of things to pull apart from this, but without all the details, I don't want to get too far into it. More importantly, I'm curious on what the community thinks. I don't know if you guys are overwhelming positive about this or negative. Right now, I'm kind of right in between. I love the fact of how much there is and what this could lead to be. If you guys haven't seen the video, I'll try to leave a link somewhere up here where I talk about the difference between franchising and the actual circuit style system that CSGO uses. And this is more so towards the CSGO circuit style side, based upon all the information that's being provided. So I'll make sure to leave that link in the description as well, so you guys have kind of an overall viewpoint on that. That video is a lot of information. I recommend, if you are going to watch it, be prepared, because it goes over a lot of things, but probably more than people are expecting. So just as a precursor, if you guys do end up going and watching that, it's a good watch, but it's a lot of information. I don't want to give too many of my opinions on this one just because I don't know all the details. Primarily, the thing I want to know is how the points and stuff are weighted before I leave judgment, but you better believe when we get more details on this, I assume soon from Psyonix with an official post, it'll detail some of that information. I really hope they come out with all the information right away, because most of this has already been leaked. I want them to have all the nitty gritty, the specifics, all the information laid out so we can dive into it and really start discussing it before the next season comes. With that said, there's obviously a lot of community tournaments still going on. You've got Codename Covert and the Euro Cup going on this weekend. You've got Twitch Rivals going on today as well, where a lot of content creators and pros are competing in crew battles. And then the Brawl starts next week. Today being Friday, in roughly 4 hours after this video is posted, the open qualifier signups for the Brawl 10K are now out. So if you guys would like to go sign up and have a chance, Former 3's team, the qualifiers are now available to be signed up. So keep your eyes out for that. Link for that in the description as well. That's going to wrap it up for me today. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, drop those down below. I really hope that graphic helps you guys out, because I know it's pretty confusing for a lot in the community, but again, I will do my best to provide all the information I can, and this channel is continuously growing. So massive shout out to you guys. If you guys enjoy the content, give it a thumbs up, hit the like button, all that fun stuff. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys being here, and we will see you next time. Peace.